voice of Darkwing.
Two waters. Are you going to stand there?
Yeah, I'm going to stand.
Am I going to sit here?
You stand
Oh,
up.
there's only three of us, so we can. All right, cool.
You can space it out. All right, next up we got
I can move.
Launchpad McQuack, Mr. Cherry McGovern. And last but not least, Mr. Drake Mallard, Darkwing Duck, Jim Cummings. Yay!
Woohoo!
All right.
Mr. Darkwing himself. Mr. Darkwing himself. Hi, Darkwing.
You're probably
Hello,
wondering
Mr.
why
Ballard.
we all called you here. Isn't that right, Honk?
Yeah.
May I call you Honk?
Sure.
Her?
That's cool.
Oh, what is this, the VIB
But I'm
section?
embarrassed.
Yes, it's the
VIP seating.
spirits.
Carol, hi.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of question and answer, and then we'll do the Q&A over here. But first, I want to ask you guys. Let's take the time machine back to probably even before 1991, beginning of Disney Afternoon, because all of you were in other Disney Afternoon shows first before
You're
this
all
one.
collecting pogs now.
That's right. So I wanted to talk about the history of how you guys came to be in the series, because you've all worked with Tad before, I assumed, on
Tad
Gummy
who?
Bears,
I'm sorry?
Or are you looking confused?
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, so like for instance, Katie was on Gummy Bears as Sunny Gummy,
Yeah.
and Terry was on DuckTales as
Yay.
Launchpad again, and Jim was on everything. And pretty much
Okay,
everything.
this is a test. DuckTales,
Woohoo!
you've all passed.
Thank you.
Okay, he gets an A+. plus.
So I wanted to talk about that. The whole was it an audition process, or is it because you worked with Tad before and he brought you guys in, or and Jim specifically with that character, since I think Tad was the creator of the character, but did he pick you specifically for that character because he'd worked with you on other stuff before? Or?
For Darkwing? No, I kidnapped his dog the night before and kind of forced him.
That's the
And
only
I
way to
said,
do
do you
it.
want to see Bowser again? And so, no, but I guess the call went out to probably everybody.
Oh,
You
it
know,
was,
I mean, that's how it kind of is. It certainly was then, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and all the potential ducks showed up.
I know for me, because Ginny directed,
Ginny,
and
yep.
and I don't know how many people auditioned, but I remember when I came in, because she knew me from other stuff, she said, do that little boy that you do. Like, she had in mind what she wanted Honker to sound like, so she kind of told me what she was looking for. Yeah.
There you go.
And Terry, I mean, you were already Launchpad.
I drove a great distance to a place called Voicecasters in Burbank.
Yeah.
And it was really a far. I was in West LA. It was one of those terrible days in LA, and I get to Voicecasters to audition for a beer or something. And I noticed there's this, because I'm very nosy and pushy, you have to be. And there was a stack of scripts said for the A list or something only. And I leaned over and I saw this audition for a guy who sounded like, and there was a voice description. And I said, I can do that. And I called my agent and I said, you got to call the guy here and let me read for this Disney project. Oh, gee, I don't know. I said, I'll hold my breath. And that'll be it. I'll just die right here. And so he prevailed, and the guy said, okay, go ahead. And I went in, and they were looking for, you'd have to be a little bit older to know these voices, but they were looking for a cross between Jack Burns and John Ratzenberger, Cliffy.
Oh.
Interesting.
And I said, well, he probably sounds a little like this. And they said, you're hard.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Nice, nailed it.
That was it. It was wonderful.
Did you just get tingles like I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Look, I
And so-
got goosebumps.
And Terry, was that?
And bumps to
Goose
la
and
goose.
you know Honker is half goose and half duck. I found that out a couple of years ago. His mother is a goose and his father is a duck, so he's mixed.
Never knew.
Wow.
Did you guys know that?
We would spend hours listening to the information this young girl would bring to the session. Just hours.
Some of my best friends are mixed, so it's okay. Mixed nuts.
Mixed nuts.
And Terry, was that audition for DuckTales, or was that specific?
It was for
Darkwing Duck?
DuckTales.
And then it rolled into Darkwing.
And by the
Just
time
went off.
Darkwing came along, I got a call and said, we're doing a new series. And I said, oh, okay, great. And so we're done with DuckTales. Yeah, we're done with DuckTales. But people like your characters so much that we want to pull you over into this new one. And
Rightly so.
I couldn't
For
believe
sure.
it. Couldn't believe it.
Terry McGovern, ladies and gentlemen, is Launchpad.
Luck at first.
Love at first quack.
Like at first.
And Jim, for Darkwing, when they brought you in, what kind of description did they give you for the character? I assume they
Do it right.
do it right, and you did it because you got the
Stop
part.
being so mediocre. Try not to suck. And so I did.
So you sucked. Or you
Sage
didn't suck?
advice.
There you go.
Yes, I was very non-succulent that day, and it was a fine thing. No, they just knew that it's the old joke. Well, we don't know what we want, but we'll know it when we hear it. So we'll probably start on a couple of these things. Like, is he a tough guy? Well, he's tough. He's resilient. And I accidentally sounded like Darkwing right there for a second. But yeah, well, and we just played around. He wasn't super big,
Yeah.
so he couldn't sound like a big giant guy, and he wasn't super teeny really. So he wasn't going to sound like a minuscule guy, and he was very pleased with himself. He didn't have any superpowers, but that didn't seem to slow him down. He could take a punch, and so we just started doing this and that, and then I am the terror that flaps in the night. And they go, okay, that's not bad. And then we landed on Darkwing, and and it's a molding process, I think.
Yeah,
It's great when you get to audition that way. It's not so much that way anymore, because I think I probably read for Gosselin too, and I was so delighted with what Chris did. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And then so though that cast is probably one of the a great A-list cast. There's so many great
So
actors in
huge.
that cast. I would love to hear some story. No, Jim's shaking his head.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
No, I would love to hear some stories about those recording sessions, because I can imagine, because I saw Tad posted that video of you guys doing the recording all in the same room together.
Yeah, that's the wonder. That was the wonder and the fun of doing DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, or any of the existing cartoon shows, because we performed ensemble. We were a little U-shaped with the green shades, and I remember one time Jeffrey Tambor came to guest, and he looked over and said, "Terry, this is very civilized." And it is,
Yeah.
And then we had.
It didn't last.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
We had, and I've just got to mention somebody who is absolute. I idolize this man, as I do him as well. But Frank Welker, and
Oh yeah. Let's hear it for Frank. He's your favorite gorilla and ghost and everything.
Well, and we got to have Dan Castellaneta on a lot, which
Peter
would be so
Cullen.
much fun if he were
Dan,
And of
Rob
course-
Paulson.
wasn't super famous. Now he'd be here with us.
Scrooge himself, Alan Young.
Yeah.
The great Alan Young.
He was Mr.
And I want to say something about Alan, who just passed. He lived into his 90s. We thought we were all going to be on the reboot. Shows how wrong you can be. But I said,
Yeah.
even Alan's still alive. But Alan was originally in Mr. Ed. Oh, Wilbur, remember that?
Androcles and the Lion too.
Yes, and those people of that era didn't get residuals. So by the time he was an older man and got DuckTales, he was getting paid
And he was getting residuals.
residually.
Yeah.
And it was, I think he was very happy with that. But he was
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful
He
man.
sure was. A
He was
true
a-
gentleman, a
Yeah.
sweetheart of a guy.
He was a good buddy. He worked with us on Adventures in Odyssey for years and years.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep.
And then what was that? I mean, with all those actors in there that are just brilliant people. I mean, was it more chaotic, or did Ginny kind of rein you guys in?
Oh,
Or, like,
Ginny.
I'd be curious to.
Ginny and Andrea later,
Uh-huh.
Romano. It was, Andrea had a great little line she'd do when we got going too fast or something, and if it wasn't clear to her, she would say, "Please don't make the phone call. Don't make the phone ring, or Father Clarity may call us."
Yeah,
So
right.
that was always the joke.
Yeah.
Father Clarity
Do
is
one
listening.
for Father
That
Clarity.
was Frank.
Right. Yeah.
Father Clarity.
They were the best directors we could have had, and
Well,
they were
Ginny was
women. This was early.
Hyper. I mean, Ginny maintained order. She's
yeah.
very
Oh, yeah.
wild and crazy and organized and just kept things going. I mean, it makes you have to pay attention.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
part ringmaster.
Yeah,
Yep.
No
ringmaster.
doubt, yeah. And then Terry, I know you were originally in San Francisco on the radio and stuff. Were you flying down and doing those recording sessions with everyone? Or did
No,
you
what
cover
happened was
separately?
in '77, Molly and I moved down there, and I started working here in sitcoms and various things, and got into animation a little bit late. Started working, what was it, Hanna-Barbera? No,
Yeah.
Marvel. I
Oh,
did
yeah.
the first Transformers generation.
Yep.
And then, in '88, I got a job back in San Francisco that I couldn't turn down, an offer. And so I moved back to San Francisco, and they were loyal in those days, and they didn't change actors. So I did a phone patch from a studio in San Francisco, which means Ginny or Andrea could listen to me down there, and I was recording on a tape machine up here.
Yeah.
And that's the way I did most of Darkwing Duck.
So we didn't
Yeah.
get to
So
work
you
with
weren't-
I think we
you
only
that
did
much.
like 1 or 2 in the beginning, right?
That's right.
And everybody and Darkwing and Launchpad were never in the same room at the same time.
Say, so
No,
you guys
just a
never
little-
recorded-
It was magic, I tell you.
A little blue spot on my empty chair. That's,
Yes, it was really
Kidding.
cool,
love it.
right?
I love it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the Q&A
He just
going.
didn't really want to hang out with us. That's really what it was. I mean, not fooling anyone, but fine.
He was just above it all.
Yes. Well, he was in San Francisco. It was a little above it, but
Actually,
semi
yes,
above, I guess.
geographically above it all.
Yeah. This is boring. Okay, how we doing? Is everybody having fun so
You
far?
guys having a good time?
Okay, good. All right,
All
just
right.
checking.
We're going to get the Q&A
Just
going.
checking.
So we'll go ahead and first question, please. The price is done.
Meanwhile,
Well, thank you first for all coming here. We all appreciate it. And
same to you.
oh, thank you. You guys are awesome. Much of my childhood was growing up watching DuckTales and then Darkwing Duck. I love Honker. Kind of reminds me of myself. So did the guy with glasses, but he was always there and he was always over to Gosselin. Launchpad, always awesome. I love Darkwing being always swagger and confident, even though he's a complete fool.
No reason to be.
Yeah. But my question.
and it's worth pointing out at this point that we had great writers. I mean,
Yes.
the writing
Boy, ain't
was
that
fantastic.
the truth. That's true.
Okay. Well, that's a good lead-in because this question is for Jim. All the iconic one-liner, I am the night, no, I am the terror that flashes in the night,
Yeah.
I am the low ratings that cancel your program, was that?
Yes. Yeah.
So
What,
I
how
know
many-
where you're. I know what you're about to say.
How many of the lines were scripted or improvised, or were they all scripted, or did you improvise any of them?
Well, for better or worse, I improvise a lot, and probably about the 8th or 9th show in, it would always be, he always has a trio of lines. As soon as he comes up to foil the crime, the cloud of smoke and he appears. See, I worked
Yes.
in the theme song. Anyway, he would do that. And he went, I am the terror that flaps in the night. So I'm reading along, and it says, I am the terror that flaps in the night. I'm not going to bother writing a line here because Jim's going to say something else anyway. That's right. I am Darkwing Duck.
right on.
And so I said, I am the terror that flaps in the night. I'm not going to bother writing something because Jim said I'm going to get this anyway. And I said, how'd I do? And then I probably made up something embarrassing like, I am the bug that splatters across the windshield of crime and makes
Yeah.
them gag. Or,
Isn't he? It's genius,
So, yeah.
right? Genius.
Totally.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word.
Awesome.
Rhymes with something else, but that was a good question.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, bud.
Are you saying you didn't like the middle line? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
By the way, you're allowed to walk fast
Yeah,
to the mic
or
and
closer.
even line up if you want.
They're lined
Closer.
up.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
can line up in those
there.
seats if you want.
There's
Oh.
a order.
Relax
Okay.
and have a beer. I don't know.
Hello.
Okay, this question will be for each of you. So, what traits do you share with your characters?
I love
Oh.
purple.
And he looks lovely in it.
I do.
He wears a hat.
I'm wearing purple underwear.
I think, that's a really good question because I think the characters that we do land are usually characters that we can relate to personally in some way. Like, Jimmy's a very attentive dad, and as far as Honker, like, I'm kind of the one who always points out the errors and things and corrects stuff. So I guess that's a little bit of my personality. Yeah, my husband's nodding. Yeah, like, excuse me, but I don't think that's quite right. That's probably me. So yeah.
I was extremely tall at the time.
Right.
So that
That's
worked
true.
right
He
in
flew
for me.
airplanes.
Yeah.
That's true. And boy, does he look good in goggles or what?
I get tested.
Where are we?
All right, thank you.
That was a great question. Thank you.
pal. All right, very cool. Come on down. Meanwhile,
Hello.
all right.
Hello.
I am so glad to see you three. So, I'm a huge fan of the Darkwing Duck series, which follows DuckTales, and so my question to you three: which one of you, which episode of the series was your favorite?
I like the mini golf one.
Yeah.
Which one?
Mini golf. When everything shrunk. Was it Michael Bell's character that shrunk everybody? Quacker Jack?
Oh yeah, Quacker Jack.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Mine was anytime I got to crash something, if it has wings, I can crash it. That was the big line. But I love that whole that concept in cartoons. The best was in the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, when Tom would get, or Jerry, no, who was the little guy was Jerry. And Tom would get annihilated. He'd get hit by an iron and it'd take the shape of an iron.
Talk to the mic.
But in the next shot, he was totally fine. There was no residual side effects. And that was the same thing with...
Really resilient.
Very resilient, rubberish. And we would, boom, we'd be back and in good shape, although it looked like we were facing
But you
certain
have to
death.
go like this. And then you're fine.
Yeah, right. Then you're fine.
Yeah.
You try it.
Try it, yeah. Give us a. Look, you're fine. See, you're great. You're as healthy as a horse. God love you. I hated all of them. I'm sorry. I didn't. It was like going to the dentist every day. No, I'm kidding you. Honest, I couldn't probably pick one. Just Us Ducks was good. I liked it when Negaduck would come in and screw everything up.
Hey.
Well, you had to play yourself
say you had to
and
play-
Herb and the opposite
Yeah,
of you, and
we always.
you were very busy.
We're not schizophrenic. Why are you talking to us like that? No, but it was fun to get in an argument with myself and beat the heck out of myself and then recuperate and go visit
Well, sort
myself
of-
in the hospital and
I just
Crazy.
love-
Early Fight Club.
yeah, it was
I have
all
to say,
inside
I
my
really
little
loved
head.
when we had scenes, when Honker had scenes with his dad, because
I was her dad too.
I think Herb is the funniest character
Oh, good.
ever.
Herb
and
Muddlefoot,
so-
y'all know who that is? That's Honker's dad. Susan Tolsky was my wife.
Yeah.
And,
Can you do his voice?
Well, I wished I could there, Drakester. What are you doing? Why don't you come on over? We're going to have a barbecue later.
You can understand why I spent more time at the
Yeah, the Mallard house.
At the Mallard house, yeah. With a dad like
That was my
and
bad.
a brother
Andy
who
Devine.
beat me up, I had to go someplace else.
Nobody even knows who Andy Devine is anymore, but he used to be a person.
So funny.
May I say
Famous one, too. Really cool one.
May I say the one I like to watch was Inside Binky's Brain.
Oh, whose brain?
Binky.
Binky.
Oh, Binky.
Yeah.
The Binkster.
Yeah.
The Binkster!
Yeah, we get to
But
be
they
the
were so
superhero.
in love.
They
They
were.
so in love.
They
Yeah.
just were. Yeah.
Good role model.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
pal.
I definitely
All right.
enjoyed it. Good to
Stay
have you guys.
dangerous,
Thank
bro.
you.
Hippity hoppity, that's the wrong damn song.
Guess
Hello.
That would mean, hi, how you doing?
Hey.
Guess that would mean you were on Raw 2.
Wait a minute. Where's your doppelganger?
I do have one of those around. He's hiding in the audience somewhere.
Oh, there he is.
You know.
Thought you could get away, eh?
Spare kidney for when I need.
Keep my eye on that
Right?
guy.
You know.
Meanwhile, back at Sacramento.
Yes. Anyway, let's see here. I wanted to ask actually about the fact that you guys used to record ensemble, and I'm wondering if the new show, the new DuckTales, if you do that as well, and which one you prefer as opposed to. I'm gonna guess it's ensemble, but I want to hear why.
Well, I don't know. I prefer shows in which I'm the title character. but that's just me. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's great. I love the new DuckTales, man.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Let's
Do you
talk
guys
about that for a
record
minute.
ensemble
And,
for the new show as well?
They don't. You know what? I haven't. I've done X amount of them, but they won't let me play with the others.
So sad.
No, I have no idea. It's probably scheduling.
Let's talk,
Hopefully.
let's talk about that for a minute, Jim. Did they approach you to? I assume they approached you to come back and do the Darkwing voice for the DuckTales.
Yes, they had to really convince me. They had to say
had
things
to-
like, "Want to be Darkwing?" And I said things like, "Well, okay." You know, stuff
And
like
now
that.
you have a whole different look.
Now I have a whole different look. Yeah, you like my jaw? Yeah. And the hat. I think it's a pretty cool look. What do you think?
I dig it. I dig it. It's a cool look.
Yeah. Terry has mixed
changes.
emotions about Launchpad.
No, I don't.
I
really.
do.
I despise them.
There you go. Thank you. That's the subject to which I'm
Honesty.
referring.
Love it.
No, it was the way we were treated. I found out
No, it's
on
true.
I found out on Facebook they're rebooting. So I called. I forget who was it at Disney, Dempsey, well, whoever it was.
Yeah.
And I called and I said, "What's up? What's going on here?" "Oh yeah, Terry, we're rebooting." "Yes, you're right. We are rebooting DuckTales. You're not in it."
Yeah. Who are you,
Yeah,
by the
wait,
way?
what the-
Yeah.
No, he said none of you original people are in it, and because it's going to be the DuckTales characters as kids was the first explanation I got. To which Russi Taylor said, "So what would I be then, an embryo?"
Yeah.
You know, because she was Huey, Dewey, and
Yeah,
Louie.
right.
I think it's fine. It's great. I'm a huge fan of David Tennant. My God, I love him. And he's the only guy that really was on the same parallel with Alan, because he brings the same kind of warmth to it. The guy that does my voice, you know, I stole the voice originally from John Ratzenberger, and he stole it from me. So that's the way it goes. Nothing, you know, everything's derivative. But I would have loved that had they brought the original cast back. That would have been fantastic. But it didn't happen.
I
that way.
agree.
And the artwork is good. It's hip. I get all that. But I missed the animation that we had in Darkwing and DuckTales. It was real Disney animation.
Yeah, I agree. It was very warm. Very warm.
But I'm bitter. I'm very bitter about it.
I can respect that and understand where you're coming from. And it was good hearing you and Alan again on the video game the last time for DuckTales Remastered. So.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
good
game was
times.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Next.
There we go. Yeah.
Now
It's the
this
Attack
is-
of the Twins today, ladies and
Is this
gentlemen.
Jacob?
Yes.
It's Jacob, yeah.
My question for all of you is, how do you feel about the fact that all of you have been involved with Star Wars in one way or another? Like for you, Miss Lee, you're the voice of young Han Solo in the Lego Star Wars, the Padawan Menace animated.
Well, this
film.
is
And-
not what you do. I was in the Padawan Menace,
Yes.
which is a separate Cartoon Network Lego Star Wars special,
Yes.
and
Nice.
I'm thrilled because I mean it was a surprise to me. I got this script and my agent said, "You have this job." And I said, "Okay," because it was the people. I did a show called Animalia, and the producers who did that cartoon series won the bid for the Padawan Menace. So anyway, she said, "You got this job. You're going to go." I didn't audition for it, nothing, and they said, "You're going to play Ian." So I get the script and I'm reading. I'm like, "Ian, okay." So circle, and then I get to the end of the script and he says, "But my name's not Ian. It's Han Solo." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I'm Han Solo!" Wow.
Yes.
I get you and Harrison Ford mistaken for each other all the time.
He was a kid.
Oh,
so I
well,
got to do
yeah.
my Harrison Ford imitation as a kid. Yeah,
you give
Han
us
is
a
a kid. That's kind
sample?
of his thing, yeah.
Were you a sullen
He was
wisecracker?
yeah, he was. He's walking behind Yoda in one scene. He's like, "Hey, you wear any underwear under there?"
It's eerie.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
goosebumps.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, if you go to my table, I'm Hawking. Ready? If you go to my table,
Stephen Hawking?
Stephen Hawking. That's
Okay. I should have shut up.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
No.
Okay, so I, by the way, I want to mention that our agents, our representatives, are fantastic, and that's CelebWorks. We're all CelebWorks clients, and there's Chris, who's one of our agents. And I was with Van Winkle living up in Northern California. I hadn't done any of this work in 30 years. Would you like to do a Comic-Con? What's that? I had no idea. I love them. I absolutely love them. But I have one picture that tells the story of how I got to do.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah,
You're part of the ADR group for the Stormtroopers in the original Star Wars, and even
Right.
before then, you coined the term Wookiee while filming THX 1138.
Well, my best friend's name is Bill Wookie, and he was with me the day we recorded.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
line-
all I said.
Yeah, the line was, I think I ran over a Wookiee back there, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't run over a Wookiee.
Well, it was an ad lib.
But anyway, so we, and I'm glad that I made that little poster up because it mentions the other actors I work with who are no longer with us. They went to another agency.
You see in the sky?
And so I got to mention them. And what happened in George's screening room, which is where we did it, he's very taciturn. He doesn't speak a lot. And he won't give you much information unless you pull it out of him. And we said, could we see some of the footage of this new movie? We had no idea what it was. And he showed the Death Star exploding. And that was it. And the lights came back up. We said, oh, thank you, George.
That's no moon.
Did you give him critical feedback?
And we were told that we were like stormtroopers. Blast them, there they go, and all that. And by just unbelievable good fortune, my line with Obi-Wan Kenobi, my reading, got pulled into the movie, and I wept when I heard
Oh,
it.
yeah,
I was
baby.
just, that's
Yes.
me and Alec Guinness. It was impossible, but it was great luck.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Now move along.
And you, Mr. Cummings.
And I should mention that Galactic Productions is one of the agents that has another one, not just, so there he is now. So, yeah, and Zach's sitting there going, oh, shucks. Anyway,
Zach.
yeah, there you go. But I'm sorry, did you say something?
Oh yeah, I was finishing up my question with that. And you, Mr. Cummings, are the voice of Hondo Ohnaka from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Star Wars
Yes.
Rebels, and now the new Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run attraction at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Walt Disney World.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Although the Disney World one's not open yet.
Yeah, the check's in the mail. Yeah, you guys come down. I have a little boat there that I'd take you on. It's called the Millennium Falcon. Talk to me. That's right.
Yes, thank you very much. Stay profitable.
That's a funny thing that I just said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, come on down. Oh, we're taking a fashion risk. Here at SacAnime, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Putting the sack into anime left and right.
I can try.
All right, you look fabulous.
Thank you. My question is, how do you get into your role once you get into the sound recording room? Each one
Like
of you.
I have to dress up.
Oh, okay. Method, yeah.
Method acting.
Thank you, yes.
Yes. I don't know. I never thought of it. Now I'll never be able to do it again. Thanks. Thanks.
You can just always wing it.
Bye.
You just ruined a career.
No, you know what? I always say instincts are the best stinks. I don't even read that stuff before I go. I should probably not say this because the writers are there. But I don't read it.
No, but the reason is,
But-
because people ask me that too, because when we started, there were no computers. People didn't get you your script unless maybe on the Gummy Bears they would FedEx our scripts
Dave
to our
Wright
door.
drove out to my
but
house
you
on
didn't see
4th
it
of
till
July
you showed
once.
up that day. So,
So it's
it
mostly
was-
cold reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would. I was Lurch on the Addams Family because of my height, obviously. And they now imagine. Now we've all know what Lurch says, right? Yeah, they would send me the scripts.
Okay.
To my house. Let me guess. Is this the one with 3 AUs and 1 H? Because I'm going to have to gear up if you start tacking on those extra H's and those ellipsi. What's that?
Good morning, Mrs. Adams.
Well, that's different. Now I can understand. Okay. So, yeah, it's that's how I got into character.
You know, if I could just give my answer to the question, when you're when you become a voice actor and you do an animated character, you see him, you look at him, and they usually give you just a sort of an outline drawing of the character, and it's very easy for us because we're strange in the head that we can look at that and then understand how they would speak. So you don't have to go through a great preparation. You know what the voice is, and the inflections and everything comes to you in the script. So you don't do a lot of prep, like Jim said.
It sounds kind of snotty, but like some people, you know, who pick up a baseball bat and just whack it, they know, they just have an instinct. And I think there are some people, like when I found voice acting and started working and found people who thought like I did, you don't have to explain or go through a long talk. It just happens.
It's childlike.
Play.
The kids don't prepare. You know, when they decide to do a character, they see something on TV or they just invent something. Boom, they're there. They're just automatically there.
Right.
But once you've sort of started working on a character, and if you notice, most first episodes of any show, if you go 3-4 episodes down, their voices are going to be a little different. They evolve. We get to know our characters better. I mean, chime in if I'm wrong. And the writers start to understand, and we sort of meld into something. And then if you're working on a lot of different shows and you come in, you may just say, could you play me my reference again?
Yeah,
so
that's
you
right,
can make sure the voice is consistent. But the character, you know, there's a storyboard, there's the director who's telling you what's happening, and then we throw in, like Jim ad-libbing his stuff, or me saying, you know, I think because, you know, my character, whoever it may be, maybe wouldn't use contractions, so I'm going to say it a little bit differently the way I think my character would, and if everybody agrees, then everybody agrees. Right?
Yeah.
And on that, I think it's really wise. I learned this early in doing commercials because my father was a copywriter, and he really cherished everything that he wrote. It was in gold, you know. So if I was in a recording session and I saw something like a contraction, and I would always say, would it be okay if I just said can't instead of cannot? And then, you know, yes, fine. But they guard that with their lives. You know, that's their work. So it's best to be polite and say, I'm going to change this a little bit. We'd rather you didn't. Fine. Good. That's good.
So that's what I've been doing wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, I always say instincts are the best stinks. And you can quote me.
Thank you.
Thank
you betcha.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Here she is.
Hello.
We've been waiting for you all
Just-
day. I'm so glad you got here.
Just
grab that mic
take
like a
control. Yeah.
And will you
Who's
stay
your
as sweet as honey
favorite
forever?
character besides your own?
What's it? Say it again? Sorry, I
Who's
was.
your favorite character besides your own character?
Who's your favorite character besides you?
Oh,
Besides your own.
these guys.
Oh, I see.
That was a good answer, Jim.
Yeah, see. And if other people were here, those guys.
Them.
We're very sincere, aren't we? No. I got a lot of them. I don't know. I like Homer Simpson and.
Do you mean in Darkwing Duck or just in
Or
the
you
whole
mean in the world?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, I think you're a pretty darn cute character, that's for sure. You're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Will you stay as sweet as honey forever? Or will you keep on bouncing? Like a tiger? Oh, go ahead.
I don't know.
How much fun are you having? Oh, boy.
A lot.
Good.
She's having a lot of fun.
We got a little
Having
ticker
so
going
much
there.
fun down here. Yeah.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have another question?
Don't forget to grow up and live happily ever after. Remember. Yeah. Okay. This guy's trouble.
Hello.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Yeah. Down. Okay. Now you can talk.
I like to say
I had to give you
hello,
that
Jim.
soundtrack.
And I love your work as Winnie the Pooh.
Thank you.
Ooh, I kind of lived off that for the first 10 years of my life. So my question is more towards you and Terrence, because I know he did a couple of these. What was your favorite one-liner involving I am the terror that flaps in the night?
Oh, gosh.
Because I know there's like a 35-minute compilation of all of them.
There is.
Really?
Yeah.
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Okay,
probably.
then
Yeah.
what's yours favorite? And I'll just pretend I said that.
The best two, I think, are I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the wrong number that wakes you up at 3 a.m.
I love that one.
I am the check writer in the cash-only line.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one.
Never heard that.
Yes, excellent work, Launchpad. No, wait, that's you.
I think
Whatever
those
you say, GW.
are great on
whatever
their
you
own.
say.
But to me, I think they're even funnier, because in my head, I also see him voiced by Winnie the Pooh, which sounds less threatening, but at the same time, even more hilarious. Not saying that as a voice request, I'm just saying.
That's a little weird. I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you.
Keep
Thank you very
up the
much.
good work. Keep up the good work.
However, I'd keep an eye on him. He does some of your voices really well.
Yeah, I know. I hate those guys.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Next.
All righty.
Howdy.
Meanwhile,
Shell.
are you Tom Hanks' stunt double?
You know, people oftentimes say that. But in any
Yes.
case, I do have a question, and this one is really more on, I guess, the knowledge of how the shows were recorded. Because one of the things that frustrated me really about Disney afternoon shows in particular was they didn't follow the standard seasonal formats. It's like, you know, I first of all love shows like Darkwing Duck, Rescue Rangers, but I was always frustrated. It's like, wait, this is all we're getting? It was like a very finite number of, very just understood what the number was, and there were no more after that. But I was just wondering, did you guys ever, like, when you were going to record these shows, were you told pretty much in advance, okay, they're only going to do this number of shows, and no, that's it, you have to find another role?
I think when we did Darkwing, they told us they were going to do 52 or 54, whatever.
we ended up doing
because that
more
was
than we
on
thought, yeah.
cable,
Yeah, 'cause it went on for
right?
several years.
Well, part of it is you got to see how the audience
Yeah.
reacts to it. And like sitcoms, you sign for 6 shows originally. Do the pilot, and it gets approved, 6 shows. Oh, hey, look, we're getting good numbers. Let's do the full 13. And if the numbers are great, end up doing 26, and so on and so forth.
We usually would do 13 if it was Saturday morning, and
Yeah.
then just 13 every year. They'd rerun them, and then in around May, they'd say you got renewed, and you'd do more, like with Gummy Bears. Darkwing started out as a special cable. It was when the Disney Channel, so it was a different deal altogether. And then Gummy started doing 11-minute episodes, right? So we would do 2 per half hour.
But ultimately, it depends on you guys.
Yeah.
How long our job lasts. If you like us, boy, we'll happy to
we'll
come
be
back.
there, yeah.
But I think they followed pretty standard seasonal stuff, so I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, and that's an inexplicable thing to a lot of us, like when, and then they did a lot of shows that they were doing 65 episodes because it was going to go right into syndication out of the bat.
65, that's what it
that
is,
was
65.
like the, you always
Gravy
liked,
train.
Yeah, you liked to book those. Those were fun, and I think Darkwing was a weird one because it broke out of the Disney Afternoon, and that's why it ended up on ABC for a couple of years. ABC said, well, let's put this on Saturday morning, and so we're like, yeah, let's do more of those.
Was
So-
did it start out cable or syndication?
Started Disney Channel, I believe, the
Disney
first one,
Channel.
and then
Yeah.
a few months later.
I think there
they-
was a
it was kind of a trial.
special.
Yeah.
But then it sounds like syndication has its own set of rules about like how it operates on a
Yeah,
seasonal basis.
because you have to have 5 a week, so
Yeah.
that's more for a 13-week season.
Yeah. It's called strip. When a show goes into strip, there has to be a lot of them to fill that many
But
hours.
nowadays, they don't do that at all. There's no regular season because a lot of it's
Yeah.
cable and reruns are totally different, and the whole world has changed. And that's that.
Yep.
And now, when you do a video game, I guess even back years ago, the different aspect. You talk about the recording sessions. The recording sessions for cartoons are ensemble, as I said. But if you're doing a video game character, because of the permutations of possibilities, you go in and do your voice, and you just go all the way through the possible answers or responses of your character. You never see any other actors. It's lonely.
It's lonely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
That's why we're here.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey, I don't know, Christy, I don't know if you've had a chance to plug yourself, but you should. This lady is phenomenal.
Anybody look at Voice Chasers?
That's it,
You
Voice
know
Chasers.
Voice Chasers? She created it in her mind and then on the internet,
Yes.
all by herself. Doing
about you
all
guys, not
this
me.
research because she wanted to figure out who we were, and that
And now-
sleuth of a woman
And
figured
now they're
it
all
out.
my favorite people.
And now we're all friends.
Ah,
It's true.
thank you.
Howdy.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Your hair's sticking up.
No, that's a feather.
Oh, is that a feather? Oh.
So first of all, I just wanted to say like the Jim that like I loved you as Winnie the Pooh. Because I grew up watching Pooh's Heffalump movie a lot, and I actually recently watched Christopher Robin. And I thought you were great
good.
in it.
Wasn't that wonderful?
I
Well,
cried.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
had a good time. Stay just as sweet as honey forever for me, won't you? And don't forget to keep on bouncing. That will be ridiculous.
Yeah, you're a sweetheart. Thank you. Hey.
No charge.
So my question is, since like they made like a reboot of DuckTales, like would any of you ever want to see them like do like a reboot of like Darkwing Duck, or do you think that like what they've like the Darkwing Duck like episodes that they've done in DuckTales?
We
is
want to
like
work
enough?
all the time.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yes.
So right in Tony, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a rumor they're going to make Chippendale Rescue Rangers into a movie.
the live action
Similar to Alvin and the Chipmunks, I guess.
Oh, right, live action.
Live
Yeah,
action.
and I'm sure that we'll be seeing Russell Crowe is Monterey Jack.
I was gonna say.
You know, I'm just tickled pink for Russell in advance. You know. It's a joke about me not being in it. It's a really funny one.
I'm laughing really hard too.
No, who knows? You never know.
Did you have a question, or did you have another?
Yeah, no.
question? Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen.
All right, I have another question. Let's talk about other things, because you guys have such
Yes.
seasoned careers. I would love each of you to talk about something that's kind of obscure that people might not know you for in voiceover.
Besides the louse.
Besides that one. Maharaja?
Oh,
No.
Perhaps your love of tatting.
My love of crocheting.
Yes.
I started
passion.
I have it here too, actually. What you were talking about?
In
Work.
voice, yeah.
Yeah, not actual baby blankets. Okay.
That's the next question. Yeah,
Temple
that's
of
what I was gonna say,
Doom.
Temple of Doom would
Well,
be
I
mine.
did loop the Maharaja's voice in the Temple of Doom.
Oh, that's
I
right.
replaced his voice, which was a very interesting experience. So that's pretty cool. Most people don't know that. And I also revoiced one of Oprah Winfrey's daughter in The Color Purple.
Really?
When she comes home for Christmas. Wow. Yes, I did a couple lines for that.
Wow.
So yeah, I've done. I used to do a lot of looping. People would say, you know, do you imitate? A lot of times, and I'm sure you guys do lots of impersonations. And I'm not really an impersonator, except I imitate real people. So I've looped a lot of, voice matched kids.
I wish I could do real people.
What was
Well, I mean, not famous people. But
what was the reason for looping the Maharaja? Was it?
Well, we don't know.
Oh.
That's the thing. This is the craziest story. I auditioned and I got the job, and I used to do a lot of ADR. And I showed up at Warner Brothers, Formosa,
Yep.
and Charlene, the engineer there, I walk in, I knew her, and I said, okay, so what are we doing? We're doing this character. Do we know why? No. Do you know why? No. Is Spielberg around? Does he send any notes? No. okay, so
Just do it.
I just figured maybe the track was dirty, so I just tried to imitate him exactly. Now that I've seen the movie, and I was pretty young at the time, I would have read the lines a little differently to make them better, but I really read it just like he did because I figured they just needed it redone. And even the guy, the guy who played the Maharaja is a grown man now in his 30s or 40s, and my reps met him in Tennessee last year, I think, and he's signing on. And so he put me on the phone with him, and I said, hi, and I said, I've always wanted to meet you because I feel so bad because I know you probably went to the theater and thought you were going to hear yourself, and it wasn't you. He goes, yeah. He said, why did
And he
they
sounded
do
just
that?
like
I
her.
said, I don't know. And I said, do you know why they looped you? Because I've been trying to figure out. He goes, no, I don't know. As a matter of fact, my friends went to see Temple of Doom, and they said, how come you sound like a girl? But I really think I did a pretty good job matching what he sounded like at the time. But yeah, it's always sad when you replay. I always feel sorry for the families of the kids whose voices I've replaced. Because like,
Yeah.
wait, that doesn't sound like you. Because I even replaced Heather O'Rourke once.
She's a cruel woman, obviously.
Terry?
Anyway.
Allison Gottlieb called me when I was living in L.A. She's the wife of Carl Gottlieb, who wrote the screenplay for Jaws. And I had a mutual friend. She didn't know anything about me, but this friend said, Terry does voices. And she says, can you match? And I said, of course, yes, whatever that means. I do that. And it turned out they needed to match Dustin Hoffman's voice for a movie called Agatha.
Oh.
And it was so bad, in Hoffman's opinion, it was his production company, he and 3 other actors, I forget what they were called. But Dustin wouldn't come back to the recording studio to do the ADR, the dialogue replacement. So I had to, I couldn't do it now if my life depended on it. I know it's very down in here like this. And so,
Yeah.
but then I had to, I ended up having to put tissue paper up one nostril, and I had to stand, these things where you have to physically contort yourself. And
That sounds good.
nobody went to see the movie anyway.
But you got.
I don't think it was my fault. They were happy with my work, and goodbye and thank you. But that was the most obscure thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jim?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I forget the question.
What
Something
an
people
obscure role
wouldn't
that
know.
probably most people wouldn't know you
Oh, gosh.
for.
I was a deckhand on a riverboat. That's probably good.
In
But
VO,
a
though.
voice,
Oh,
voice,
crap.
voice
I knew you were going to
world,
do
a
it.
voice world.
It's pretty hard for me.
Well-
He's got a million.
No,
'Cause
okay,
he's
how
always
about this?
the lead.
How about, no, but listen, how about this? Show of hands. Who saw Stephen King's movie maybe like 18 years ago, 20 years ago? The Mangler. Good. 3 hands, 4.
2 hands.
Excellent work. Good.
They belong to
Okay.
the same person.
Don't go out and see it as soon as possible. Yeah, worst movie. It was kind of a follow-up to Christine. Now that was a good movie where the car was possessed and it was really good. This one wasn't Christine. This was The Mangler. Right away, it sounds like a B movie. Get a load of this. It's like the Industrial Revolution era, and there's a big giant plant somewhere in Indiana, and it's an ironing facility. It's a thing, and they have one machine in there, and it's an industrial strength uniform supply place and everything. It sounds scary so far. And apparently there's this one big giant press, an iron, if you will. And you could iron a circus tent in it. Big, like an acre of stuff, And come to find out, it was sucking people in like those old washing machines that my grandmother used to have, the rollers. I got your finger and you get it. Well, they would pull you in there, the Mangler would. Come to find out, they'd pull you in there, kill you, and weave you, just smush you right into the tent.
But leave a nice crease.
And a nice crease. And I'm thinking, so, okay, maybe unplug it.
What did you do?
I don't know.
What
Just
was-
a thought.
What voice did you do?
It was horrible, and it was Tobe Hooper, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. So I was like, oh, damn, I guess I want to do this. And he was thinking like, well, what kind of sound does it speak? No, it doesn't speak. does it burp or whatever? No, it's just got to be really scary. And I go, oh, well, okay. And I just came up with this thing like it was a 3-layered thing, and they used it, and it was. And another one was. And I don't remember the third one. And then they played them all backwards, and it sounded like exactly what's going on inside of your head right now. Awful, right? And so I said, oh my gosh, I don't want, and so I told my agent at the time, tell him I want twice as much money. The paid it. So there I was stuck having to mangle, and and I got it over with, and God willing, this is not available on video or anywhere. I'm sure it's right next to the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Oh yeah, and thank you for that. And the good news is, like 20 or 30 people saw it easily, dozens of people, and I went to see it because it was. I don't think it made it all the way through the showing, but the first one, and it had my name in the credits, Tim Cummings. So I was like, yes.
Thank you, Tim. Now know what.
Yeah, how about that, Tim, huh?
No relation.
Isn't he amazing? You go, Tim. No, I'm Jim. James, Jim. Timothy, Tim. No, see? Not me. Thank you.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, we are.
Give it up for Jim Cummings, Jerry McGovern, Katie Lee, and they'll be doing...